how do we start this thing again?
You say something along the lines of, this is Raven.
Oh my god! Welcome to Tea is Good, Books Are Better, the podcast where we drink tea and talk about books. I'm Raven.
We started.
Yeah. And this is
Jess.
Jess. Okay. That's how we start the podcast. Alright, what's new, Jess?
It's new with me.
Yeah.
New glasses.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got my new prescription. Got some new frame glasses. Yeah.
Okay. They look really cute. You look like you're from the 50s or something.
What? I like them.
Yeah.
Better than my old ones that were held together with glue.
Oh my god, are you serious? Wait, what?
Yeah, I broke them a few times. But yeah.
Like which part?
Like the glass in the frame I glued in.
The lens fell out of the frame?
Yeah.
And you glued it back in?
Yeah, with nail glue.
With nail glue?
Yeah, for fake nails.
Oh my
that's
god.
That's the only good glue I have.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so
yeah, you definitely need new glasses.
The optometrist, when she saw them, she was like, whoa.
Just like, whoa.
Because they're all, like, the lenses are all scratched up and shit. And she's like, maybe this is why you can't see as well.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me want to look at mine, because mine are so old.
How old are yours?
Oh, I got them in, like, grade...
What?
10?
Holy shit.
Yeah. Grade 10, maybe? They're pretty good. There's just, like, some speckles on this one. I don't know what
I'm
that's
really
from.
impressed
Do you
how
see it?
well you looked after them. No, I don't.
Yeah, well, there's little speckles on that one, but...
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, they're...
How?
Pretty
Grade 10.
good.
Isn't that, like, 10 years ago?
Yeah, these are, like, a decade old.
Jesus Christ. Those are older than my old glasses, and they were fucked.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Piercing update. We don't really need to do that. We know yours is doing freaking great. Mine's fine.
Finally.
Well, it's been fine for a couple weeks now. There is one thing, though. I've been keeping my eye out for, like, people who have conch piercings, like mine. And I've noticed something interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at work the other day, I was helping out this person with a conch piercing, and their ear was, like... There was, like, some sort of mass at, like, the base of the piercing.
Oh, like a growth of skin?
Yeah, a growth of skin. That's what I would call it. And then I saw, like, a friend of a friend who had one up here.
Yeah.
In the cartilage. Like, the top of the ear cartilage. And had the same mass on, like, the back of his ear.
Oh. Does he think maybe because they don't change it out?
I have no idea, but I was like, oh my god, I don't want mine to look like that. I mean, I kind of feel like a dick.
That's so weird.
But, I don't know. I'm hoping it's just because they, like, didn't take care of it properly, and it's not something that happens to everyone.
Because that seems kind of frightening. I haven't really seen that with people with cartilage piercings. Well, I only know a couple of people with cartilage piercings.
Yeah.
They look nice, but I also know they switch them out regularly once they've healed.
Interesting. I wonder if that does make a difference.
You wonder. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Kind of gross.
I mean, I don't want to say that because someone listening might,
sorry,
have that. It really isn't noticeable though, unless you're looking,
unless you're right up
directly,
up in their personal space,
and you're like right there. And I definitely was like in these people's spaces, like staring directly at their ears. So.
This is why I hate people who come up to me when I go to stores and try, can I help you? Like,
oh, you don't want them looking at you?
Space,
please. I finished a first draft of a short story.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I wrote another short story, and I'm just waiting for some feedback from some of my lovely classmates who agreed to give me some feedback on it.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Are you gonna, like, sell it to a magazine?
Sell it? I will try to get it published, yes. we'll see how that goes. Anyway,
Nice.
shall we talk about what tea we're drinking?
Yeah, it's pumpkin chai
Pumpkin chai?
from David's Tea. I'm pretty sure this is only the second time we've had it.
Oh, we've had this before on the podcast?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I don't remember having pumpkin chai. It tastes good, though.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I think it could have steeped longer, maybe. I was rushing out there.
No, it's good.
Oh, good.
I like
She
it.
likes it. I like it too, actually.
Yeah, it's nice.
Mm.
Creamy.
A little bit of leftovers, so I gave Johnny a little bit.
Does he drink tea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he does.
Cuckoo. Yeah, I haven't had my tea yet today, so I need this.
Oh.
I literally woke up and showered and, like, came straight here.
Wow. I can't sleep that late anymore.
Yeah, it's like 12:40 right now. I got here at, like, 12.
Did it really take us 40 minutes to set up and get everything going?
I don't know if I got here right at 12, but at 12-ish. Yeah, I think it was 12.
I think it was 12 too.
Maybe we should get started. I'm going to a concert later.
Ooh!
Yeah, 21 Pilots.
Oh.
I'm so excited. Yeah, but that means I kind of need to rush this. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so we're talking about Cry to Heaven by Anne Rice, part 3, chapters 1 to 4.
Yep.
Today. Where did we leave off our characters, Jess?
Basically, Guido was forced to kidnap Tonio. Yee. Yee.
And what happened to Tonio?
Tonio got his balls lopped off. Horrendously.
Yeah.
In terrible conditions. It's a miracle he's alive and not dying of sepsis.
Of what?
Sepsis?
Sepsis? I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
Okay, someone out there will know.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I don't, but someone else might. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Chapter 1. Guido and Tonio reach Ferrara, a province to the south of Venice, before nightfall. Tonio has not yet regained consciousness. Guido carries him into a small inn, binds his hands, and puts him to bed. He then gets himself a bottle of wine and seats himself across from the foot of the bed and waits. He passes out, and later he wakes up to see Tonio sitting up against the wall, hands unbound, glaring at him.
What kind of like lame ass knots was he tying?
Right? Like, how'd he get it off?
He's still like still kind of drugged up too.
Oh yeah, he must be. The text describes Tonio's eyes as 2 glittering slits in the darkness, which I liked. Just like glaring in the dark. Okay. Guido lays his documents on the bed in front of Tonio. I'm not sure which documents these ones were.
I think they're the ones that he was forced to take with him from the Bravos.
Oh, like Tonio's letters and stuff?
Yeah,
okay.
saying that Tonio chose to do this and this signatures and
Right.
stuff.
Okay. Antonio looks down at the documents, but he doesn't pick them up or read them. And then Tonio lunges forward and wraps his hands around Guido's throat. And it takes all of Guido's strength to throw him off. Guido slams Tonio back into the wall, and Tonio's groggy and unable to defend himself. Guido tries to tell Tonio that he had nothing to do with what was done to him. He said the physician who cut him is most likely dead, and that he and Tonio would have been killed also had he not taken him out of the Veneto. Guido also says he doesn't know who the men were, and he asks if Tonio knows. And then Tonio spits in his face.
Yeah. I like how before she was describing that he seemed to be like,
Oh, yeah, his mouth was working?
yeah, like he was like chewing away at something, but he was definitely gathering that
Yeah.
saliva.
A big fat loogie. Tonio starts shuddering, so Guido tries to bring him a blanket, but Tonio just hisses at him. Back away! So Guido sits back again and proceeds to watch Tonio for the next hour, or what seems like an hour, until Tonio finally lies back down on the bed. He doesn't resist when Guido puts the covers over him or has him drink some wine. Guido gently describes exactly what had happened from his perspective, with the Bravo approaching him in the coffee house, with the papers with Tonio's signature, and how he was forced to go to Flavago. Then he says he will take Tonio to the Conservatorio if that is his wish, but that it's his choice. I was appreciating Guido being completely honest with Tonio here. And like trying to make him feel comfortable, and obviously there's nothing he can do to fix the situation.
Right.
But, I mean, he's making an effort, so good guy Guido. But Tonio doesn't answer him at all. Eventually he just falls asleep, and Guido's able to appreciate his beauty. Then Guido leaves and goes down into the open field beneath the window. He finds a spot in the grass where he can lie down and look up at the stars. He starts to think about how his whole life has been meaningless, and he feels drawn back to his previous suicide attempt. And he thinks about Tonio's voice. Then there's some dialogue in the text, and I'm not quite sure if this is him speaking or remembering something, because I didn't remember what it was. It says, quote, "If this boy does not survive, if he does not somehow overcome the violence done to him, then I am destroyed with him." End quote. I don't remember what that's from.
I'm pretty sure that's him thinking about his predicament.
That's
being
Guido
forced
thinking?
with this boy who was forced.
But it was in dialogue tags, so it was someone speaking.
Oh shit. Where are you?
This is still in chapter 1.
Yeah, this is chapter 1. Oh, right here. And I feel like that was like a specific thought to me. That's how I saw it.
I'm not convinced, because it's the first time that a thought would have been put in dialogue tags.
I guess.
So, I was just confused.
Paris.
But who knows?
Mm-hmm.
We'll just take it as it is and move on. So, Guido goes back to the inn, but he doesn't go in yet. He sits on the stairs outside and weeps. When he's done, he gets up to go in and sees Tonio at the top of the stairs. Tonio asks him if he's the maestro that he's sang for. Guido nods, but he can't bear the sight of Tonio and his, quote, battered and broken innocence. Then Tonio asks him if it was for him that he was weeping. Guido says nothing. It is for Tonio that he was crying, but he doesn't respond. Tonio's expression transforms into something malicious, and then he says that they have to go. There's business he must attend to. He is on a mission. Back inside the room, Tonio gathers up the documents and gives them back to Guido, so it seems like he had finally looked at them. Then Guido suddenly demands to know who did this to Tonio, and Tonio responds, "Fools at the command of a coward." Pretty dope.
I have that in quotes. I like that.
Yeah, me too. And that's the end of part 3, chapter 1. And yeah, holy shit, Tonio's already on a fucking mission to destroy Carlo.
He is pissed.
Chapter 2. Guido and Tonio travel to Bologna? it's spelled like bologna. I doubt that's how you say it, but Bologna? I just need to say bologna. Right? It's spelled like bologna.
It looks like bologna.
That's how you spell bologna. So they traveled to Bologna.
Maybe that's where bologna comes from. The city of Bologna.
Probably. Is that how you... I have to find out now. Oh, Lord. Okay. The city of Bologna. Oh, in Italy it's pronounced Bologna.
Bologna. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. And then in English we say Bologna. Okay, Bologna. Makes sense. So, Guido and Tonio travel to Bologna, where Tonio gets himself a jewel-encrusted sword, a stiletto, 2 pearl-handled pistols, a new suit of clothes, and a cloak. He also asks Guido to find him a lawyer who specializes in the affairs of musicians. This isn't a problem in Bologna, because musicians from all over Europe travel there to meet with agents and such. Ooh. So Guido's able to find a lawyer fairly quickly, and with the help of the lawyer, Tonio writes a letter to the Supreme Tribunal in Venice, saying that he had chosen to make this sacrifice for his voice and that no one in Venice is to blame. He makes sure to exonerate all of his former music teachers, and he also exonerates Guido and everyone at his conservatorio, saying they didn't know of his decision until it was done with. Tonio also makes sure that no blame attaches to Carlo. He says that Carlo must be absolved of all responsibility for Tonio's actions so that he can attend to his duties to his future wife and children.
It's amazing that he chose the Trusty family over this.
Yeah.
Yeah, to keep it going.
Yeah. So Tonio's making sure Carlo is given permission to continue the Tresci name despite Andrea's will. I was a bit curious about the decision at the time, but I think you literally just opened my eyes. It makes me wonder what Tonio's goal was, but it seems like he literally wants to just continue the Tresci name.
Yeah, he still loves the Tresci family.
Yes. Okay.
Loyal as shit.
At the time, I thought maybe he just wanted to handle Carlo himself instead of, like, letting the government take care of it. So he would, like, personally stab Carlo in the heart with his stiletto or something. Okay, but that makes more sense. A copy of the letter is sent to Katrina, asking that all Tonio's possessions be sent to Naples and a small dowry be paid to Bettina, the serving girl, so she can be properly married.
Good guy, Tonio.
Yeah, so thoughtful. After all this, they lodge at a monastery. I almost said monastery again. Fucking kill me. They lodge at a monastery and rest. Often during the nights, Guido wakes up to find Tonio standing around waiting for the morning, or he hears Tonio crying out in his sleep.
He's getting nightmares.
Yeah. And he continues to feel despair for him. When they reach Florence, they pick up the two boys that Guido had left there, and Tonio seems disturbed by their presence. I'm not sure why. What do you think?
Disturbed that these young kids maybe also...
Cut.
Yeah. I wanted to call it like how he calls it, but I don't know if that would be a spoiler. Like in a few other chapters, he refers to everyone who's cut as monsters, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he thinks of himself as a monster. So he's probably disturbed by these young children as monsters.
It's like, wow, these children, also monsters. Okay. In Siena, Tonio buys both boys new shoes and capes and gets them some sweets. Once, as they are riding in the carriage, Guido notices that the younger of the boys, Paolo, had nestled in beside Tonio, and Tonio eventually puts his arm around him and seems arrested with some kind of emotion. Kind of cute.
Yeah.
During their travels, Tonio mercilessly fixes his gaze on Guido, watching him constantly to the point where Guido gets uncomfortable and irritated. One evening, when he can endure it no longer, he just stares right back at Tonio. And he notices that Tonio's examining him as if he were an inanimate object. He doesn't respond to Guido looking back at him, and this disregard for him starts to piss Guido off, because he's basically been acting as Tonio's lackey this whole time. So he probably expects, like, some sort of respect or gratitude, but he's getting none of that from Tonio.
Yeah.
So we all know that Guido has a temper. That's why his students hate him. So he starts to get angry at Tonio, and his hatred of aristocracy begins to surface again. And he realizes suddenly that he's confusing everything. I'm not sure what that means, though. That's what it said. It said he realizes he was confusing everything.
Oh, I think I was confused by that as well.
Oh, yeah?
And, I don't think until a couple of chapters later, it explains what that meant or something.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember being like, what?
Right.
What?
I guess we'll get to that then.
Oh, yeah, right here. I don't quite understand this.
Oh, okay. Good. It's not just me.
Yeah.
So Tonio gets up from the table where they're eating and goes out to the garden, while Guido recognizes that they have been staying at lavish accommodations and eating full meals every night, all because of Tonio, I suppose.
He has the money.
So Guido's kind of, I guess, re-questioning his, like, anger.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
Because, yeah, Tonio's been, like...
Treating them.
And maybe that's his way of, like, being gracious or, you know,
I think it's
thankful.
also, like, he's used to this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to settle.
Yeah, he's not gonna stay in some, like, barn. After the boys go to bed, Guido follows Tonio out into the garden, still angry at him, though he doesn't really understand his own anger. He just knows that he resents Tonio. He tries to remind himself of Tonio's pain, but he can't bear to think of it. And every time Guido starts to wonder what Tonio is feeling, a mocking voice in his head tells him that he has always been a eunuch, so he can never know. So he's still raging when he finds Tonio facing a statue over a pool outside. Tonio proceeds to stare at him again when Guido approaches him, and Guido suddenly demands to know why Tonio stares at him. Tonio seems astonished at first, and then seems to weaken. He tries to answer, but can't. Then he turns to Guido, and he's gasping, and his face is desperate. And then Guido understands everything. He takes Tonio in his arms until he goes limp, and Tonio whispers one word in his ear. Monster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's what you said
Yeah,
before.
he views himself as a monster, and he views all eunuchs as monsters. It's like freaks.
Mm-hmm. So that's why he's been staring at Guido. And that's the end of chapter 2.
Yeah.
Did you have any?
Well, at the beginning of the chapter, I noticed that Guido has noticed that Tonio, his face has permanently hardened. Like after this, what happened to him?
Yeah.
Like from the boy he saw in the streets to now.
Right.
That he had gotten hard. And he doesn't talk much. It's quiet and sullen. And I guess stares.
Makes sense. After going through that fucking
Like,
nightmare.
right?
Yeah.
Don't blame you.
Yeah.
Chapter 3?
Chapter 3. Guido and Tonio reach Naples on the 1st of May. The description of the city mentions Vesuvius sending up its plume of smoke into the sky. And I'm apparently an idiot, because I had no idea Vesuvius was in Naples.
Volcano. No! I had to Google just to look at it. I like it.
You
It's
like
a cute
it?
volcano.
It's
It's a little
cute?
trail that goes all the way up to the very mouth and everything. I thought it looked really cute.
Alright, I'm looking it up.
I thought, kawaii. Volcano.
Oh, you're right. It is cute. How can a volcano be cute?
Right, but it is.
Oh, there is.
There's
There's a
a
little
trail
trail.
goes all the way up to the mouth.
So people can walk all the way up.
Yeah, take a look.
Wow.
I like the descriptions of the volcano, like constantly spitting
Yeah.
throughout the
Like belching.
yeah, and that
Smoke.
sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of scary, but
It is kind of scary.
Kinda
We'll get to
cool.
that later, though. But yeah, I had no idea Vesuvius was in Naples, so I'm apparently an uncultured swine.
well, unlike you, I've never heard of this.
You had never even heard of Vesuvius?
No.
Oh, shit. Alright, you're the uncultured swine.
No, that was like, what's that? Google. Oh, that's a volcano.
Oh. That's funny.
Mm.
Okay, so Guido feels really good about being home. He's kind of surprised at how good he feels.
Aww, he
Yeah.
loves home.
He loves it in Naples. The little boys are really excited too. They're crawling all over Tonio to look out of the carriage window. Tonio too is straining to get a good look at Vesuvius, and he's shocked that it's breathing smoke. Guido says that it does that off and on and to not pay it too much attention. Like, he doesn't want Tonio to worry about it going off, I guess.
That's the city volcano.
Yeah,
Just
he's
ignore
like,
it.
oh yeah, it just like
You know,
it
he
does that.
spits.
When they reach the conservatorio, they jump out of the carriage and go straight into the courtyard. The 3 boys hear instruments from inside, and they see faces pressing up against the windows, and there's a fountain in the middle of the courtyard.
Sounds fancy.
It sounds like paradise, honestly, the way that Anne Rice has written it. Maestro Cavalla comes out of his office and immediately embraces Guido. So this guy is like the head of the conservatorio. Guido notices that the maestro seems older. The maestro sends the little boys off and then starts checking out the elegant and remote figure of the Venetian Tonio. He tells Guido to tell him what's going on. Guido had sent him a letter ahead of time explaining the situation, but it turns out that men from the Venetian embassy had been visiting the maestro daily to accuse him of gelding Tonio, and yeah.
Or just harassing them.
Yeah, harassing them for sure. The maestro asks Guido to explain why he has gone to such lengths for this boy. Guido tells him he will understand when he hears his voice.
Yeah, that's a voice of a god!
Yeah. The maestro seems pleased that Guido is acting like his old self, and then says Tonio should have a private attic room. So Tonio and Guido are heading upstairs, and Tonio can't help staring at everything around him. The classroom is filled with students playing instruments, and the students practicing in the halls. Guido can't tell what Tonio is thinking, and the narrator states that he doesn't know that Tonio has never been subject to the rules and discipline of any institution.
It's been tutored his whole life.
Yes. And actually, while I was reading this, I realized I should probably bring up the POV of this book because it's kind of a rare one. Do you know what POV is?
Point of view?
Yes. Do you know what point of view is?
Like third person, first person.
Yeah. It's
second person.
correct. It's the narrator's position to the events. There's like 4 different types, I believe. You think you got them? What did you say?
I said first person, third person, second person.
Yes.
I didn't.
Actually, third person is split up into third person limited and third person omniscient. You're looking at me like, huh? Your face is full of wonder. It's a whole new world.
Eh?
So, first person is obviously like, I did this and I did that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those that are like super common in YA fiction.
YA fiction?
Young adult fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Second person is actually probably the rarest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever read a novel that was completely written in second person.
I heard The Great Gatsby is second person.
Oh, is it? Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I haven't read it, but I heard that it is.
Yeah, and second person is like, you did this and you did that.
Yeah, the main character is like
someone the narrator's talking to.
Yeah.
Also could be the reader, because the reader's reading it and it's saying, you did this, you did that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then third person limited is probably the most common point of view that writers write in. Third person limited is like, he, she did this, did that. But third person limited usually sticks to the thoughts and experience of one character.
So like Harry Potter?
Like Harry Potter, correct. Harry Potter is third person limited. Third person omniscient is kind of rare, not easy to accomplish successfully. The story is written in third person omniscient.
This one
is. Yeah, Cry to Heaven is. So the narrator dips into the heads of multiple characters and sometimes even knows things that the characters do not know, which makes it different from third person limited, because third person limited is like the narrator only knows what the main character knows, kind of thing, and just kind of sticks into that person's perspective. But in third person omniscient, they kind of jump around between characters.
Oh, Anne Rice is known for that. A lot of her books are like that.
Yes. I've never read Game of Thrones, but I know that he jumps between different characters.
Yeah.
However, I believe it would still either be... Is it in first person or third person?
It's third person, but I think it's more limited because each chapter is that character and you only stick to that character.
Correct.
And how they perceive.
Yeah, so that would still make it third person limited.
Yeah.
Because, he's not jumping between characters in the same sort of section.
Yeah, same sense that Anne is doing here.
Mm-hmm. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Is that an A+?
That's an A+. But the POV in this one is really well done. And the reason that you can tell that it's well done is because the reader doesn't notice it. A well done point of view is one that the reader does not notice.
Yeah.
And I haven't brought it up till now, so I think that proves that the criteria is met.
You just realized, oh shit.
Yeah. So Anne Rice continues to impress me.
Yeah. Very smooth.
The way she writes it just seems so effortless and like easy.
Mm-hmm. I love the way she writes.
So yeah,
very beautiful.
It is. I agree.
Nice.
All right, so we learned a thing. Moving on. So Tonio is fascinated by the children in the conservatorio as well, because he's never really been around children before.
Yeah, he's been stuck just with his mother.
Yeah, his mother and Andrea, and that's about it.
Yeah, maybe their occasional tutor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're all like old men. So they make it to the little attic chamber, which is reserved for special castratos who have distinguished themselves. Guido himself stayed there once. I'm guessing before he lost his voice.
Oh.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't sing anymore, so get out.
He's a teacher now.
Yeah, I guess. He's not a student anymore. So Tonio examines the room. It's neat and brightly decorated. Then he notices the window through which he can see Vesuvius, and he moves towards it. Tonio stares out at the mountain for a long time, then looks back at the room, and his eyes are filled with wonder, as if he might actually like what he's seeing.
Aww.
Yeah. Then Guido asks him if he would like to climb Vesuvius one day. Antonio smiles at him for the first time. and it's really sweet.
And he's like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
I want to climb the volcano.
Yeah. But then it's ruined immediately when Guido says they have to go meet with the Venetian representatives now. Tonio doesn't want to meet with them, but it can't be helped. So, on the ground floor office of Maestro Cavalli, they meet with the Venetians. The two Venetians are dressed in pompous wigs and frock coats. So they're basically snooty, holier-than-thou attitude dudes. They look at Tonio with contempt and start asking him rapid, hostile questions. Tonio has to tell them that he decided on this course on his own and that no one from the Conservatorio had influenced him, that the operation had been done already. He would not reveal the name of the physician who had done it, and he would not submit to an examination. Why do they want to examine his bits?
I don't know, make sure that he really cannot produce children and has to come back.
Okay, it's just like proof.
Maybe that he wasn't, make sure he's not lying, just to escape.
Maestro Cavalli explodes, saying their conservatorio is full of musicians, not surgeons, and that the operations are never performed on site. They actually have nothing to do with it. The Venetians just sneer, and Guido himself almost sneers too. And I was wondering, why is that? Is the Maestro lying? Or is that nothing to do with what the comment about how they have nothing to do with it?
I don't know, I thought he was sneering at the Venetians.
It could just be that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it.
He's like, you guys are so stupid you think we do surgeries here?
Right. So, the interrogation is over, and the older of the two Venetians seems to be struggling with some kind of emotion. He bursts out suddenly, "Mark Antonio, is there nothing more to this?" Tonio shakes his head no, and the man is in disbelief that Tonio did this of his own free will. Antonio asks him, since there's no going back, whether he's trying to make him regret his decision. The man doesn't respond to the question. Instead, he says that he fought with Tonio's father in the Levant, and that Tonio has turned his back on his father, his family, and his homeland, and that he is banished from Venice.
Jeez.
He's also committed to the Conservatorio by his family, so he must remain there in order to continue receiving support from them. Frickin' yikes. The Maestro is furious that the Venetians would banish a child. The Venetians leave, and it's kind of interesting that he would be furious that the Venetian... Like, why does he care that he's banished from Venice?
I think he just doesn't like...
Venice.
He doesn't like these rich people acting like they own this shit.
Right.
And they can tell kids what they can and cannot do. I think he's more empathetic to children than they are.
Yeah, I think you're right. Is there honey in this?
Yeah.
It's really good.
Nice.
Anyway. I was just like licking my lips and I'm like, I think I taste honey.
Yeah, I prefer honey to
Yum,
sugar.
yum, yum. I agree. I am the same. Okay, so the Maestro locks Tonio's purse into a drawer in his desk. I assume to keep it safe. I assume he's not robbing Tonio.
I think he's confiscating his shit, but not like taking it for himself, more like holding it.
Okay. So he's like, you're part of the Conservatorio now. You're not going to be running around with your own money.
Yeah.
He starts telling Tonio how his days will commence at the institution, that he will wear the customary castrati clothing, when he will wake, when he will rest, and when his teachings will be. But then Tonio says he does not intend to use his voice. And everyone is shook.
Me too. I forgot this part.
I was freaking
like,
shook.
what?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like, put the book down. I was like, oh.
What are you going to do, kiddo?
Yeah, this is not going the way I thought it would. Tonio explains that the papers say his intention is to study music, not necessarily singing. What the hell is happening? Tonio loves singing.
Right?
But we'll find out. So Guido's all like, Maestro, I'll talk to him. Let me talk to him.
Like, please, his voice.
But Tonio continues, saying he will not wear an outfit that advertises that he is a castrato.
He doesn't want to conform with them.
Exactly. And I don't really blame him for that. It's like, why is it necessary to declare to the world that you don't have balls? Right? Right?
Yes.
Tonio says he will study music, keyboard, string, composition, but will not now or ever use his voice. The maestro is confused and pissed, but Guido keeps trying to say he will talk to Tonio about it. The maestro demands that Tonio do as he says, since he is staying under his care and his authority now, but Tonio still refuses. He says he will obey in all things but those. He will not wear the clothing, and he will not sing. Guido begs the maestro to dismiss him, and he does. So when it's just Guido and the maestro alone, Guido asks him to let Tonio enroll in the general program, and he will try to talk to him. The maestro asks for confirmation that Guido has heard him sing, and Guido confirms that he has heard him sing more than once. The maestro then asks what kind of voice it is. Guido says, when you're alone and reading a new score and you try to imagine it sung perfectly in your head, it is that voice. The maestro trusts him and tells him to reason with Tonio because he will not be bossed around by a Venetian patrician. And that's the end of chapter 3.
I guess right there, he really isn't into politicians.
Yes,
like,
especially from Venice.
Yeah. Why he seemed to, like, not care for the people that came for Tonio.
Yes.
I was gonna say Guido.
Chapter 4. Here we go, people. Tonio's life at the conservatorio is a nightmare.
Because he's making it into a nightmare.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Waking up 2 hours before dawn every day, the shrill sounds of the instruments, the struggle to concentrate on the concepts his teachers are teaching. His saving grace is when he gets to sit at the keyboard, because that's the one instrument that he's good at.
The one instrument that he's good at.
He struggles to play the violin. He's never done it before, and the teachers are kind of appalled.
Yeah, I hear it takes years and years to master the violin.
Yes.
Or even get, like, somewhat decent at it.
Yes. And at his age, and he, like, doesn't even know how to hold it, his teachers are like, the fuck?
Think at this day and age, to do the violin, like, you gotta have children, like, really young children start.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like that whole thing about how it kind of becomes ingrained in you if you start young.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder to learn it if you're starting older.
Yeah, I guess the violin is one of the more difficult instruments.
Yeah. It's not just about the amount of time that you need. It's also about, like, it kind of becoming a part of you, I think.
Yeah. Becoming limbs.
Exactly. So Tonio gets hit across the back of his hand with a switch when he can't catch on quick enough. Music has become noise instead of the uplifting melodies he once loved. Breakfast is also horrible. The food is gross, and the other castrati stare at him, judging him as the Venetian prince.
Who refuses to wear the sash.
Yes, but they know he's one of them.
Yeah.
And they shout at him to put on the red sash of the castrati. Someone even says to... I love this one. Someone even says to take the sash and stuff it in his pants so no one will know he's a castrato. Damn!
The roasts are hilarious.
Damn, put some ice on that burn. But then Guido walks in and Tonio finally has blessed silence. I guess this is Guido's effect on the students.
They made it like, oh, shh.
Yeah, they know we know that they're terrified of him. Mm-hmm. So seeing him walk in, they're like, oh, shh, Guido's here. But seeing Guido reminds Tonio of when Guido demanded to know why he was staring at him. And we now know the reason, if it wasn't clear before. Tonio was staring because Guido is a monster, and now he is the same monster. So he is seeing what he will become. Okay, so these people love castratos, but also consider them monstrous and unwhole. Mm-hmm. It's like this situation or this society is so fucked.
Yeah, it sounds really fucked up.
It's like, terrible.
Hate and love. Like, you make these people, you consider them inhuman, but you also, like, worship them as superstars.
Yes, it's freaking bizarre. It makes me wonder if we have something like that nowadays that we just don't realize because it's so normal to us.
Maybe.
You know?
I feel like celebrities are held at a crazy standard and are not always treated like people.
That's true. So, Tonio finds Guido both fascinating and alluring, but he also can't bear to look at him. And for the first time, he understands why his mother used to slap him when he was a child.
He's sick of the kids.
Right? Because he can't endure the questioning of, like, everyone around him, and he wants to be left alone. So he's like, that must be what my mother was feeling. Wow.
When you relate to someone toxic in your life.
Right? So Guido brings around another eunuch to instruct Tonio, but Tonio refuses to cooperate. So we don't even get to see what he was supposed to be instructing him on. I mean, I think we can guess it was probably singing, but...
Yeah, he keeps trying to get him to sing.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, well, if he won't let me teach you, then maybe this guy. But no. Tonio's like, When the last bell sounds, Tonio drags himself up to bed, where he has nightmares within the nightmare. Inception. Well, it's because he's living a nightmare, and then he has nightmares. But then he's awakened by someone outside his door. He snatches it open, and it's a couple of boys. Tonio tells them to go away, and they say they want to see the Venetian prince who is too good to wear the sash, and they laugh at him. Tonio warns them, but they refuse to leave, so he pulls out his stiletto. Huzzah! And they just continue to laugh at him. So he shoves them, and they finally scamper off. Tonio notices that even the speaking voice of the castrati sounds shrill, and he envisions a time when he will not even speak aloud.
Oh.
Yeah, he's just not in a very good headspace. Tonio shoves the bed against the door and lies down, but notices that his window looks red. He gets up again and looks out and sees that Vesuvius is on fire. At this point, I was like, hold up. Is Vesuvius going to erupt right now? This is not the direction I expected this chapter to go. It's like, this is not the story I thought I was reading.
And they all die at the end.
I thought it was man versus man, not man versus nature.
It's a little Pompeii thing going on.
Mm-hmm. But that's not the case.
Yeah, it's just burping, like always.
And we will continue onwards without giving Vesuvius a second thought. So, Tonio has two different nightmares. The first one is that moment when he runs from the Bravos and almost jumps into the water. But in his dream, he actually does, and he thinks that he's free. But then reality starts to creep in, and he realizes that it's not real, and he didn't get away.
Mm-mm.
The second nightmare is that he still has his balls, because they either grew back or weren't cut properly. I was like, how is this a nightmare? Sounds like a good dream, but I guess it becomes a nightmare, like, when you wake up and you're like, oh, it's not fucking real.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Then Tonio has another dream. In this one, he is lying naked in bed with his mother, and he sees her, quote, lovely breasts. In the dream, she pulls him close, and he can feel her body against his. And then this quote that I think is hilarious, despite the disturbing context. Oh, God, no! You're dreaming!
I think it mentioned that he was a small child in this dream.
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't catch
like
that part.
toddler.
Okay. That does change the context a little bit.
Yeah.
Right, but yeah.
I did notice that it mentioned that they're both sticky from the heat,
Ew.
too. Yeah.
His mind is all over the place, dude.
Yep. Poor kid.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're feeling, like, weird about your family and, like, betrayed, and just makes your dreams really messed up.
Yeah.
So, then Tonio is awakened by the bell, and his day begins again, and he wonders why he can't have a dream of throttling Carlo instead of all those other dreams.
Right?
So, now we have a scene where Guido is trying to convince Tonio to wear the proper clothes, saying that it was Tonio himself who chose to admit himself into the conservatorio.
Yep.
And then someone begins whipping Tonio, telling him to put on the sash. It doesn't show who this is. At first I thought it was Guido, but later it becomes clear that there's someone else there doing the whipping as Guido tries to get Tonio to talk to him. Someone, whether Guido or the other person, I don't know, asks Tonio to tell him what happens to a eunuch who does not sing. What does happen? I don't know.
Me neither.
They just, like...
homelessness?
Right? Do they just get kicked out and live on the streets?
Extreme poverty?
Yikes.
You become someone who's spat on the street because you're a eunuch?
Yeah.
You're a freak?
Tonio is miserable. He watches a procession of eunuchs march past, and he thinks about leaving. And Guido apparently reads minds because he asks Tonio where he will go if he leaves. Guido begs the other person, who he calls Maestro, to leave Tonio to him. So I guess maybe it's Maestro Cavallo again.
It could be another maestro. I'm pretty sure there's more than 2 teachers
It could be
in this giant school.
I would assume that it's Maestro Cavallo, though, just because he's the one who kind of has a stake in this. So this person, the Maestro, says Tonio will sing or he will be expelled. And Guido keeps asking Tonio where he will go. Tonio wonders why he came here at all. But it's because he's a monster. This is a place full of monsters. And he realizes if he leaves that he will be all alone. And I wanted to read the ending paragraph of chapter 4. Page 179.
Yeah, I like the very last sentence.
Yes, this is why. I was like, why? I don't remember why, but this is why. Don't weep in front of these strangers. Swallow it down. Don't weep in front of these strangers. Cry to heaven, cry to heaven, cry to heaven. So that's the title of the book. Roll credits.
The end.
The end. Cool. Okay, now we understand the title. Cry to heaven. It's like not showing your weakness.
Yeah, I guess, funneling it through prayer.
Yes.
Because they're from a very religious time. And I guess he is a Catholic because he talks about God in some parts.
And
the church.
Italy is very Catholic.
Yeah, it is. I remember referring to the conservatorio as castrati school.
Castrati school, yeah.
My first sentence, Tonio's first day at castrati school. And it gets better from here. Now that the title has been mentioned in the book.
Yeah. You know it's gonna get cray.
It is. Finally. Now we just gotta wait for Tonio to come to terms with what happened.
If he ever does, we don't know yet.
Dun, dun, dun.
Or maybe he'll just lose his mind and go crazy and murder
Character
everyone in castrati school.
Murder everyone in castrati school.
Yeah.
Let's call it castrati school from now on.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so that's the end of this episode. Next time, we will be talking about Cry to Heaven Part 3, Chapters 5 to 8.
Yay, that's end of Part 3, right?
That will bring us to the end of Part 3. Correct.
Yee.
Which brings us how far along in this book?
Not even halfway.
Getting there, though.
Not even halfway.
So next time, we'll see how Tonio handles being a castrati. Because he ain't doing well so far.
No, he is. What's the word? Oh, shit.
In denial?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Guido, we'll see if Guido tries any different things to get Tonio to fucking sing. No spoilies.
No spoilers.
You can follow me on Instagram at Crimby. Jessica's is
Jess.Egan24. Is that right?
Yes. We'll make a podcast Instagram.
All right.
You can also
take selfies every episode too.
Yeah, we totally
Nice.
can. You can also check out my writing on my website, ravenegan.wordpress.com. You can join the Facebook group for the podcast. Just look up Tia's Good Books Are Better podcast on Facebook. And that's all we got so far. All right. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening. Jess? She passed out. All right. Bye-bye.